more than 40 years, People Incorporated has been an integral part of the greater Fall River community. Creative, collaborative, and invested in the region, we have consistently developed supports to make our community a better place to live. Dedicated to a better future for all our citizens, we are People on the Move. Welcome to another episode of People on the Move. My guest today is Bob Hebda. Bob is the Area Director for the Department of Developmental Services here in Fall River, and they are responsible for a wide variety of services that our community receives that we'll be talking about today. Welcome to the show, Bob. Nice to have you on board.
Thanks for having me.
I was wondering if you could give the audience a little bit of history about your background so they have a little better idea who you are.
Sure. I've been with the Department of Developmental Services, formerly the Department of Mental Retardation, for the last 34 years. I started at Paul Dever State School in the 70s, and in 1979, I came to Fall River when we were starting the service coordination unit here for people with developmental services.
Yeah. And you came from the Paul A. Dever School, and that was a part of a mass movement out of institutional settings and into community settings that was going on at that time. That was prompted by the consent decree.
That's correct.
What was the basis of that, and what was the effect that legal action had?
Well, in its heyday, in the 70s, even when I worked at Paul Dever, there were about 1,000 residents that lived there. And when people went into the state schools to see what the conditions were of how people lived, it was felt that people lived less than human. And so once that happened and it sort of came to light, the consent decree came around, and the plan was to move people out of the state schools into the community and where they could have a better way of life. Mm-hmm. And this is a process that is still going on. Massachusetts is in the process of still closing state schools. Paul Dever closed in about 1998, 1999. And right now we're in the process of closing the Fernald State School. Mm-hmm. So the plan is that we're still continuing to close state schools and move people out into the community.
And you know, you talk about when we kind of got started back in the mid to late 70s, but that movement actually began. People Incorporated was formed in 1968, mm-hmm. and that movement began, you know, even as far back as the late 60s, as people in local communities began to make the case that community services was a much better solution for their families, and especially for those people that previously had been sent to institutional settings that had no community relevance whatsoever. Right. Now, you're a Fall River guy too, right?
Yep, sure am.
Born and raised
yes.
in Fall River, Durfee graduate.
Durfee
right?
graduate.
So tell me a little bit about how the department evolved, because it's had a number of name
Sure.
changes over the last 30 or 40 years.
Sure. Well, when we started in 1979, we were part of the Department of Mental Health. And we were a very, very big outfit. And in the 1980s, about 1986, we split and we became the Department of Mental Retardation. And today we are currently the highest funded agency in the Commonwealth. And just about 2 years ago, we changed the name again to the Department of Developmental Services. And a lot of times when you have a name change, the name change isn't always a good one, but this was actually a good one, because we don't just work with people with mental retardation. We work with people with autism, cerebral palsy, developmentally delayed. So we cover a large gamut of people. So the name change to the Department of Developmental Services was a great name change.
Yeah, that definitely was. And along with that, we also, over the years, have changed the way in which we refer to people with disability issues, which is always a sensitive thing to do. But I know now, for the most part, we refer to people with intellectual and cognitive disabilities, which is a very different approach as well. And the progress continues to try to figure better ways to help people live quality lives in their communities, to help people become more accepted within their communities, and that's a big part of what you folks do as a state agency and what we do as an agency that contracts with you for services. You mentioned the fact that you work with a variety of different populations, which requires an awful lot of people to be able to put that together.
We do.
You have a fairly significant staff composition. Where are you located, and talk a little bit about some of the staff positions you have and how that helps the community.
Sure. We're located at 1 Father Duval's Boulevard, and we are part of the southeast region of the Department of Developmental Services. And we happen to be the smallest area in this southeast region. And we cover the towns of Fall River, Westport, Somerset, Swansea, and Freetown. And currently we serve about 775 individuals. And the way our office is sort of broken down is we have 10 service coordinators. And each service coordinator has a caseload of about 60. And that's high, but we make the best of what we have. And we have 1 children's coordinator. And that children's coordinator is responsible for working with the school departments so we can plan when people are starting to graduate, and we're ready when people turn 22. The school department has the priority until people turn 22 or graduate, and then we pick up from there. We have 2 supervisors. We have an area director, assistant area director, and a program monitor. So that's pretty much our office, but we do cover quite a few people.
And being area director is a relatively new position for you, but you've had a number of positions within the area office over the last 30+ years.
Yep. Yeah, I started off as a service coordinator, and when I started in 1979, I had a caseload of 40. And that was a wonderful thing because we were very proactive, because we could go and sit with families on a daily basis, have coffee, find out what's going on, and be proactive, nip problems in the bud.
Yeah.
Today, when people have caseloads of 60, then we become reactive rather than proactive. So I was a service coordinator, and then I became a service coordinator supervisor. And then I was the assistant area director for the last 17 years. And recently I was just promoted into the area director position.
So with the increase, if you will, of the number of people that have applied for and received services, there's been a lot more dependency placed on private agencies like People Incorporated to assist you folks in terms of the advocacy that's involved. So we'll talk a little bit in a while about the Family Support Center and how that, I think, has been an enormous step forward, if you will, in terms of advocacy for families. But I just wanted to give people a better sense of, we provide an enormous amount of services to the community. You have been and continue to be our primary funding source, and we now employ over 500 people. That's a huge financial commitment to the Fall River area that the state and the Department of Developmental Services has made. What is the amount of money that comes into Fall River? And if you could just give people an idea, a rough idea of the kind of services that you provide with that money.
Well, our main job is to purchase and arrange services for the people that we serve. So we have a budget of a little over $26 million. And for those $26 million is what we use to purchase various services that people need. We purchase residential services for people, whether it's 24-hour or less than 24-hour. We purchase day program services for people who are looking for a job placement or competitive employment. We purchase services for respite. We purchase family support services. So we have a wide gamut of services that we purchase for the 775 people that we serve.
And for people who have some familiarity with People Incorporated, a lot of our day services have been provided at the Riggenbach Road location in the industrial park for years. That was a huge manufacturing center for people that we employed to do a lot of production, manufacturing kind of work, packaging and collating, light assembly, things of that sort. And in more recent years, a lot of the services for people in day programs has gone to a more therapeutic model, and we now have what is called a day habilitation program, which is located on 3rd Street, right near our new corporate office. And residentially, we've worked with you folks. We have a lot of the 24-hour homes, and adult foster care is something that's been a fairly new service for us. That we now have more than 40 people that are getting services in individuals' homes in the community. Let's talk a little bit about the Family Support Center, because I think for our viewing audience, what's important to them is, you know, what are the services that families who are out there today can expect to receive, and you know, especially those families who are not a part of the service system, or who are a part of the service system in a you know, a relatively small way because they've kept their family members at home. What was the origin of funding the Family Support Center, which we have located at 170 Pleasant Street, and what do you think it's been able to provide for people?
I think the Family Support Center was something that was sorely needed for many, many years. And this becomes sort of a one-stop shop for people to walk in and access any type of service that would be helpful to their family member or their family in general. People could walk in, they could receive help with Social Security issues, food stamps. There are people at the Family Support Center who are bilingual, who are able to support people. People can access respite. People can access any other service, such as, I know the Family Support Center has done an after-school program.
Yeah.
And that's been a big thing, and I think that's going to just increase as time goes on and the word gets around. Because a lot of times, families, especially moms and dads, you know, they work a job and they need to work a 40-hour week, and their sons or daughters will get out of school at 2:30, and it's like, well, what do I do with my child? And this was a great place for these children to go and have some meaningful activities, have a lot of fun. And the parents then, when they get out of work, they just pop by, pick up their child, and off they go. So I think that's been one of the best things. And then another thing I know that they were starting was the homebound program.
Yep.
A lot of times we have many of our individuals who are homebound and not able to get out. And people are able to go into the house and provide some meaningful activities and fun. And I'm sure it breaks up the day for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So this has been something that's been sorely needed, and it's a welcome addition.
Yeah. You know, one of the nice things about, you know, the fact that we were willing and able to work together to put the Family Support Center in existence is the fact that we also had services, healthy families and early interventions, so that we were reaching out to families when they're actually before their children were born in many cases. So having a Family Support Center, it just gave us a wonderful bridge to be able to work with families from the moment that child comes into their lives, which I know in a lot of the families that I've talked to where their children may be teenagers or just turning 22, they've developed a sense of comfort with us because they've known us for so long. So being able to have all of those additional supports available to them has been wonderful for us as well. You know, we've been fortunate that other organizations such as the United Way, Bristol Community College, the Mayor's Office have also added funding to that center, so that we've been able to include a lot of people in the community. We're doing emergency food supports there. We didn't even speak to the faith-based program that we have where we hook people up with individuals in various churches and ministries that can help them practice their faith and also engage in the social benefits of being a member of a faith-based organization. And also we have a huge recreation program that we operate out of there as well. So I know for myself, having come back to People Incorporated from about an 8-year period running community centers, that the ability to actually create the first community center, family support center in Fall River was something that was of great importance to us, and we've just really enjoyed working with you guys on that project. It's something that I don't know if the community fully recognizes what an enormous benefit it is, you know, for us all.
Well, I think it's like anything else. It takes time.
Yeah.
You know, word of mouth, word will get around, and people will start accessing it. But we've done well so far.
Yeah.
You know, but we're going to be expecting a lot more, I'm sure.
I'm sure, and I've been pleasantly surprised, I guess, by the number of people, as you say. I think the last time I heard we're servicing probably 200 people a month just for family support around emergency food. And recently we signed a great partnership with Bristol Community College, and now we're adding workforce development for adults as a part of it. In fact, Jim Mathis, who is running that program, recently had a graduating class of people who were home health aid students, and all of them have not only completed the home health aid course, but I think most of them have already found employment.
Oh, that's great.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
You know, as we both know, Fall River has an enormous problem with employment, and as a part of helping out with that program, we have to get people better job skills, and that we're doing home health aid, CNA training, and we have been training people to work in our profession as well. So, Bob, you know, you and I have been doing this for a long time now, and what do you see in terms of future programs, future activities, shifts in the department, in the manner in which services are provided? Do you see things changing over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think we're already starting to see that, where I remember the days of the sheltered workshop, where people would be sorting dice or collating or doing some very tedious work over and over and over. And we've kind of gotten away from that, and we're giving people now more meaningful opportunities for employment. And the other thing we've done now is we've started to get into the life skills business for the rehabilitation, where people are not just going in for DAHAB services, which is sort of a medical model, but they're going in to learn life skills, cooking, shopping, budgeting. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we all do every day and we take for granted, but it's something that has been a great direction to go into, is the life skills.
And it's hugely important for people to have those skills to help them remain independent, or as independent as they possibly can.
Correct, and that's the goal.
Yep, yep. You know, as a part of some of the changes, I know one of the areas where the department has really focused a lot of energy is family-directed services. And could you talk a little bit about that and what you think that means for the future of services in our community?
Sure. The way it was in the past, it was pretty much we'd go to a family and we'd say, well, what do you think you need? And they would tell us, and we'd say, well, you need to go there, or you have to go there. And we're sort of getting away from that, and we're letting families sort of dictate to us of services and where they want to go. So the department actually is saying to people, you have funding. This is your money. Take it and go buy the service that you need. So that's sort of the direction the department is going into. So they're letting families direct the search as to where they want to go and what they need.
I think it's a great idea. I know, you know, a lot of organizations are a little bit nervous about it because I think in their mind sometimes it doesn't give them the security of funding that they'd like to see.
Correct.
From my point of view, I think the wonderful thing about that is that families are going to be putting more energy into looking for quality program services. And I think the best protection that we as providers of services have is to provide a quality product that people are going to want, that helps their children, their family members, live the kind of life that we are all aspiring to provide for them. So I think it's a great idea. And I know we've already been involved in one project in the Taunton area that was a family-directed residential program, and it's a relatively new program, but so far it's working out beautifully for us, for the area office, and I think for the family that's been involved. Now, I know you have a lot of staff people that are in your organization. We have a lot of staff people, and I think sometimes what the community misses out on is the fact that we don't only work at what we do to benefit people with cognitive and intellectual disabilities, but we do an enormous amount as people in the community to help the community in general. So we're going to talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about your own personal involvement in the community.
Sure.
I'm sure you have other staff people that are involved in community endeavors just as I do. So I wanted the audience to get a little bit better idea that we are also tied into our community.
Yeah. Well, being raised here in Fall River, I realized that in order to make the community a better place, you have to give back to the community. And for a number of years, I was involved with the Fall River Youth Soccer League, and my children played there. And even after my children graduated and moved on, I ended up staying. And I was also involved with Durfee High School, which is near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I was a graduate of Durfee, and I was the chairman of the after prom party for 9 years. And what we did there was we made sure that on prom night we offered a party to all of the kids, whether they went to the prom or not, and they would come back at 11 o'clock after the prom was over, and they would stay until 5 in the morning. And what we did was provide a safe, drug-free, alcohol-free party, and they had a hell of a time.
Yep.
And we needed to go to the community because we needed to raise some significant funds. And I remember the last time I was involved with it, it was $18,000 we needed to raise.
Wow.
To make that party happen. And I can knock on wood that for 17 years now this party has been going on, even though I haven't been part of it for all 17. And we can honestly say that no child has ever died on prom night here in Fall River. So that's a wonderful thing.
That's a great thing.
Yes, it is.
And I know you have people who are involved in other community activities at your agency as well. I know at our agency we are routinely involved in a host of different community activities, cleanups that the city has sponsored. We've got our own team, People Helping People, that goes out and supports the city when they have cleanups. We are involved in annual blood drives. We're involved in doing a lot of other activities on the community, because I think we're living in the communities. I was born in Fall River as well, grew up in Ocean Grove, live in Swansea. I know most of the people on your staff and most of the people that work with me are from this community.
They are.
So I think it's important to all of us to be able to be a part of helping the entire community get better, which I think we do a great job of. So other thoughts that you have, Bob, about the relationship? We've had an incredibly positive relationship, for a long time with your agency.
Yeah.
And I've always said, I've worked in Rhode Island, I've worked in other states, and I've always said the relationship that I've had as a vendor, as a provider of services with the Department of Developmental Services, is the best relationship. And I think a part of it has been so many of us have known each other for so long. I see that the area office structure is an incredibly strong structure to provide services, because all of you who work in the area office know many of the families that you work with on different levels.
Yes.
So.
Well, I think what it comes down to, Bob, is the relationship between People Incorporated and the department is for the quality of service that you provide. I mean, that's the bottom line. If families are happy and they're getting good services, then we're happy because we're getting our bang for our buck.
Yep.
And because we basically are the guardian of the taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah.
And so if people are getting good service and they're happy with the services, that's a wonderful thing.
And I think to your benefit and to my benefit as well is we've been able to work so collaboratively together that we've actually done some pretty creative things. You know, we were able to close down a couple of homes that really were no longer accessible, got people into much nicer homes that were able to accommodate their physical changes. You've helped us build a long list of supportive services. We now have behavioral people, nursing staff. We've really strengthened our system. So that's been a wonderful thing, a wonderful partnership that I'm sure will continue. I'd like to thank you all for listening today. My guest has been Bob Hebda, the Area Director for the Department of Developmental Services here in Fall River, and hopefully you will join us for future episodes of People on the Move.